Today, I want to share with you some content that I created recently for a group of business owners that's basically focused on prepare your business to be sold, even if you don't want to sell it. In other words, make sure that your business can function without you. Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Business of Meeting podcast. Today, I've decided to share with you the information that I recently shared in a webinar for the small business owner of a group of MPI about how can you increase the value of your business and how can you prepare your business to be sold, even if it's not the goal or if it's the goal. So I thought that that would be beneficial for a lot of our listeners here. And also, I'm going to share the slides. If you want to see some of the slides, you will have to go on the YouTube channel of the Business of Meetings, but that's not necessary if you just listen to this podcast today. So without further ado, here we are, running your business as though you plan to sell it. So first of all, few information about me and why I'm speaking about that today. I've been working in small business all my life. I've started several businesses, exited some others, been involved in different organizations. And I think that at the end of the day, that's why I love doing what I'm doing now, which is on one hand, sharing content, whether it's through books I've written, Meeting at C-Level, an executive guide for driving strategy and helping the rest of us figure out what the boss wants. Basically, the first book on the why of a meeting and aligning face-to-face meeting with the strategy of an organization. And I've also recently published most important book, really for me, it's called Before It's Too Late, a love letter to my daughters in America about why we left Belgium, came to America 10 years ago. But basically, that's one thing, it's sharing content. The second thing is having this podcast, which I'm totally passionate about. We're over 155 episodes so far. You can listen to many different stories, very inspiring stories. And what I'm doing today, it's sharing content and also advising some business owners and CEO, what I call a trusted advisor for entrepreneurs. And last but definitely not least, which is also linked to today's podcast, I am actively looking to acquire small business, mainly in service, hospitality, and professional continuing education. So that's why I basically put this webinar together, because I know I'm not the only one. And also I have a lot of my friends looking at selling their business or telling me that they want to get ready in a few years. So first question that I think that everyone should be asking themselves is, why did you start your business? You know, it's a roller coaster. We know it's never easy. And at the end of the day, when you have those moments which are difficult, it's quite important to remember why you start the business in the first place, so that you keep on walking. And as Winston Churchill said, when you go through hell, keep walking. So first of all is, why did you start your business? And that will also influence you in how you are looking at the future, whether you want to sell your company or not. But that's a very important motivation and motivator factor. How did you and why did you start your business? The second thing is really, why would you want to sell it? Some people are building it for legacy. They want the next generation to take over. Others are thinking about selling it because they don't have this drive anymore. And, you know, they've been to different crises, whether it's the subprime, whether it's pandemic, and now the economy, which is so-so. So that's another reason for willing to sell your business. Quite frankly, some others just want to put some cash off the table, which is absolutely valid. That's also another reason to sell your business. Or there are others which would play, as Simon Sinek would say, the infinite game, and don't want to necessarily sell their business, but want to have more time for themselves. And, you know, if you have a business with a cash flow, why would you sell if you have a life that you like? But there's always improvement to be made. And I think the main improvement is really about your time and getting more time for you to focus on what you like the most and what you do the best. So the next question that I think is important for you to answer it, what is your number and what is your time frame? Remember speaking with some friends, said, oh, I want to sell the business in 5 years. I say, great. What's your number? I said, what do you mean? Yeah, how much do you want to sell your business? And I said, I don't know. Well, if you don't know, who knows? And I think that's also very important to take into consideration the fact that when you're going to sell your business, there's taxes. So you're not going to get 100% of the amount for which you're selling. Obviously, that I'm talking from the point of view that you own 100% of the shares. So that those are calculations to be made. And also looking at, okay, if your number is X in 5 years, how much is your business worth today? And how are you going to basically cross the gap, making sure that you're developing the business to the value that you want to sell it? So it's very important to define for yourself what's your number. A way of looking at it is maybe, okay, what is your lifestyle today and how much do you need? And maintaining that lifestyle without working, what does that mean? If you take a small percentage of interest, like 3-4% on your money, what does that mean? So those are different calculations that I strongly recommend that you make. That will give you more clarity about the timing, and I will also give you a realistic view on what needs to be done to increase the value of your business today to what you want it to be worth in a few years. The other question I think are extremely important as well is, what are your values? And that will definitely influence the way you grow your business and how and to whom you're selling your business. So in terms of values, you have really a different scope from one extreme to another. I want to share with you now a tweet that was tweeted on the 11th of February, 2023, at 11:42 a.m. by somebody very well known, which is Kevin O'Leary, aka Mr. Wonderful. This is what he tweeted. You may lose your wife, you may lose your dog, your mother may hate you. None of those things matter. What matters is that you achieve success and become free. Then you can do whatever you like. That's an example of an extreme. I am totally at the other extreme of that scope, if you want. I simply don't buy into that. I don't think that it doesn't matter if you lose your wife or you lose your dog or if your mother hates you. I don't think that it's success at any cost. I do believe that it's possible, like I did previously already, to develop great business with great people without having to be a jerk or without having to not care about anything else but the money. Obviously, numbers are very important. But anyway, so what I think is very important is that you define what are your values. And based on that, once again, you will decide how you want to grow, when you want to sell, to whom, and what you want to do to protect the people that have been with you sometimes for 20, 30 years. So the next question to ask yourself is, how much is enough? And at the end of the podcast, I will share with you 9 books that I recommend. But the one that has really, I love it, I really recommend it to read it. It's called The Psychology of Money. And one of the chapter in the book, it's talking about somebody who was CEO of one of the largest consulting firm in the world, if not the largest, and left that company. And a year after, he was worth about $100 million. Yes, $100 million. But he wanted to be a billionaire. And so he went into insider trading and to jail, obviously. So the question is, how much is enough? Based on the lifestyle that you have, based on the goals that you have, based on the vision that you have. It's obviously different from one person to another. There's no judgment here. What I believe is important is that you define for yourself how much is enough. As far as I'm concerned, I want to build a portfolio of small companies. I absolutely don't care at all to have the next unicorn to be on the cover of magazines. And I know some friends for which it's very important. It's their goal. It's great. So based on what you want, how much is enough, and define that for yourself. That's also something that's going to guide your journey into maybe selling your business. At this stage, I just want to share with you some of the expectation that buyers might have. What are buyers looking for? If you sell to a company which is already in your vertical, which sees you as a strategic acquisition, obviously you have more chances to sell it at a higher price versus somebody who's going to operate it. That's a different approach. You have buyers like VCs, so venture capital, private equities, that have a lot of fun. They're currently sitting on piles of money that they don't really know where to invest. And so they're looking for good investment, but they're still looking at a multiple of EBITDA, which might be interesting, but also at a number that you might not be at that level. And obviously, there's a lot of baby boomers that are retiring. So there's kind of a competition there in terms of selling your business. And what are other buyers looking for? Somebody like me, which fits into the category of acquisition entrepreneur, I'm looking personally into business between 1 and 2 million EBITDA. I want a sizable size already, but I definitely don't want a big business, and certainly not competing with those private equities. So that's really my sweet spot. And so based on your business, based on the size of the business, you might want to be looking at what are the potential company that can acquire you in the future, and already look at the type of business they have, the type of acquisition they might be doing already, and getting to know them and develop relationship with those companies and those people. So there are different expectations here on the buyer side as well. There's a lot of business for sales, for sure. There's a lot of private equity and venture capital that are also looking for business, and there have to be a match on everything. So you're looking at your number, you're looking at your values, you're looking at how much is enough for you, and you're looking at the type of buyer that ideally would be buying your company in the future. The next question and I think that's the most important question to increase the value of your business, is the following one. Can your business function without you? That's the most important thing. And that's really where you create value so that the company can run without you. And there's an amazing quote from Michael Gerber, who wrote the book, The E-Myth, which is actually a quote that I read in another book that I'll be mentioning at the end of the podcast, which is Buy Back Your Time from my friend Dan Martell. Amazing book as well. And he's giving that quote from Michael Gerber. So here it is. If your business depends on you, you don't own a business. You have a job. And it's the worst job in the world because you're working for a lunatic. So I really love this quote. I think it's very funny. But the main point here is really, can your business function without you? And if you answer that question, I would guess that most of us will answer no at this stage. That becoming a goal for you to increase your value, to make sure your business can function without you. That means a lot of work on people, a lot of work on the culture, a lot of work on the processes. But that's really when you start thinking about, okay, how do I develop the business? How do I structure it? What do I delegate? And what do I spend my time on? So that's really creating the value. And how do you create the value I just mentioned? By focusing on people, culture, and processes. At the end of the day, it's focusing time for you, making sure that you have time for yourself, because balance is extremely important, and that you can really focus on what you do best. The first thing is the people. You can say, you know what, nobody does it like me. That's impossible. Okay, fine. It doesn't matter as long as you can have people that can do it like 80%, 90% as good as you doing. And that's, again, how you create the value, having the right people that are there. That means also having a process to recruit them, to onboard them, to make sure that they're happy, to make sure that they may be sharing the growth with you. So that's really the first thing, is to have to hire the right people. The second thing really is the culture, and there's no order of importance. Those are people, culture, and process are really essential. But so in terms of culture, this is to me, together with people, what's going to make the difference in the future. With remote work, with hybrid work, with people coming into the office 1 or 2 days per week, or working totally remotely, it's extremely important to focus your time on building the right culture. And that is not something that is built overnight. That means defining your values. That means sharing your values. That means recruiting based on your values. That means firing based on your values. And that means operating based on your values. That's an ongoing job to make sure that everybody's aligned in the company, and that whoever a customer is talking to in your company, they will have the same experience. That's how you build a great culture. And last but definitely not least, the processes. Coming from somebody like me who would not necessarily like processes at the beginning, I realized that the more processes I put in place, the easier my life is. And so that's processes for absolutely everything, for your sales, for your marketing, for your recruitment and managing the HR, for finances. Absolutely every department of your company should have processes. So when you focus on people, culture, and processes, and there's a way to do that, and obviously that takes a lot of time, and that's what also I enjoy doing with some of the people that I'm advising. That's with people, culture, and processes where you create huge value for your company. And when you start creating that value, and when you start having those processes, I think the main important thing, at least for me, is to forget about my weaknesses, and I want to focus on my strength. I want to leverage my strength, and I want to hire for my weaknesses. That's how I've always built team with people that are not like me, that are complementary. Although we share the same values, we are not the best in the same department of the company. And so I think from the moment that you stop trying to do everything, you stop trying to learn the new CRM, you stop trying to learn absolutely everything that is used in your company, but you focus on your strength and you hire the right people for the rest, that's really when you start delegating. And that's really where you start creating the value. And that's really when you start looking at maybe one day having a business that works without you. I think that what's important is to delegate everything except your zone of energy and added value. And by the way, in that, and I'm just going to give you a quick example with when we review what people are doing, it always have 3 columns, like what is it that you need to be doing yourself or want to be doing yourself? What is it that you want to delegate? And what is it that you're just going to stop doing? And from that moment on, you can decide. And by the way, I don't separate with business and private life. And that's the example I want to give. I love having the opportunity to drive my kids to school in the morning. It's not that doesn't mean I'm doing it every day, but imagine that you take that little element. You can always say, well, my spouse can drive the kids, or other friends in the neighborhood can drive the kids. Or you could say, you know what, I don't want to delegate that because it's giving me energy and it's very enjoyable. So the idea here is to really list all the things that you are doing in your life, business-wise and privately. And then look at where are your weaknesses and where are your strengths. Focus on your strength. Make sure that you are doing the things that give you energy, and all the rest. And I mean all the rest. Make sure that you are delegating it. You'll feel great. And that's also where you will create value. The last thing that I want to mention in this podcast today, so obviously you cannot go in all the details, but it's obviously essential. You need to know the numbers. You need to know the analytics per project. You need to know about your profit. You need to have a plan for your cash flow. You need to have KPIs, key performing indicators that matter. And obviously that's different from one industry to another. And with those KPIs that matter, you create a dashboard that you're following to see how your business is doing. And you obviously need to focus not only on the profit, but also on the EBITDA. So the earning before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, which is in general the number that is taken to evaluate the value of a company. Also have for smaller business seller discretionary earnings (SDE), where you basically add everything that an owner is able to get from his company and what they put on the company. But the bottom line is you need to know those numbers. You need to know what is the profit per project. You need to understand where you focus your time or you're getting the highest revenue. So that's something extremely important. Once again, I'm not doing the accounting. I'm working with a firm that basically define with me what KPIs with the dashboard we're going to follow and give me that situation every month, which is essential to be able to manage your business. So that's basically some of the things that I wanted to share with you. And the last thing is really, and then what? Difference between retired or tired. I recently spoke with a friend who retired as a C-level executive, a global company, a very important role. And then he was telling me, yes, and he's now in the board of this, in the board of that, in about 10 different boards, and he's running all over the place. And I look at him and say, listen, you're not retired. You tired. So then again, I am totally convinced, personally, I'll never retire. But I'm totally convinced that if you stop doing something that you've been doing for many years, you need to replace it. Not for the money, not for the ego, but for your brain to make sure that you're still busy. If not, I think we're getting old if we don't do that. So after the sales, what's going to happen? That is something that really, if you're about to sell your company, you really need to think about this. And I just want to give you one example. I was attending a conference from EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, my EO Deal Exchange, last end of last year. Phenomenal conference with people looking at selling their business, investing in a business, or acquiring a business like me. And the opening keynote, Greg Slamovitz, it was something that I will never forget. Great guy, very successful career, was able to sell his company in the 9th digit. So big amount. And he told us that for 3 years after selling his business, he got depressed. And I never forget that. So that's something that I strongly recommend that you think as well after you sell the business, what you're going to be doing. So in summary, need to focus on the processes, focus on people and culture and processes. And most importantly, and that's really where I spend a lot of time with the people that I'm helping. You need to make sure that you have a plan that is going to be executed. Anybody can draw a beautiful plan. The success and where the rubber meets the road, I think we say in English, is in the execution. And to make sure that you are having a great execution, I only know one thing, and the best thing is to have an accountability buddy. So I personally have accountability buddy. I met with Greg every Monday, 5:30, and we are discussing what we've done the past week and what we're going to be doing the next week. That's really with execution and accountability. It's not going to develop overnight. You'll need some years, some time to reach the situation that you want to be in, and to make sure that you're not necessary for your business. But that's really something that if you focus on execution, accountability every day, you're going to be successful. So I just want to share now 9 books that you might want to read. And that those are 9 books that I'm always using, helping people, and having also friends that are specialized in some of the systems that I'm going to be talking about now. The first one is Simple Numbers 2.0, Rules for Smart Scaling, from Greg Crabtree. Greg is a phenomenal person, great career in helping business grow. He knows numbers like amazing, and he is able to help companies develop their dashboard. Great book. Again, it's not only reading the book, it's implementing it. And then the 2 others is an operating system. A lot of friends are using one of the other. One is Scaling Up, from Vern Arnish and the team at Scaling Up. And the other one is Traction from Gino Wickman. Those two operating systems. So Traction is an EOS system. Scaling Up is another operating system. They both have great insight. My only recommendation, pick one and just run with it. Don't try to mix both, because then you're going to end up in a very confusing place. The three other books that I strongly recommend to read as well in order to get more time for yourself and structure your business and delegate and grow the value. The first one is Atomic Habits from James Clear, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. Really very concrete book that I apply, and some of the ideas I get reading it. And the second one is Who, Not How from Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Ardy. It's really focusing on who's going to do that, and now who's going to do whatever it is in your company, instead of looking at how it's going to be done. It's really finding the right person. And the third book here in the second series of 3 books is a book I already mentioned, Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell. Just published this book recently. It's already Wall Street Journal bestseller. Congrats, Dan. Once again, a very concrete approach, a lot of stories, makes all the sense. And I love always trying to improve the way I manage my time in the business. And that is really a book that is full of ideas that can be implemented. And last but definitely not least, the last 3 books that I strongly recommend for you to read. The first one is The Number. What do you need for the rest of your life and what will it cost? From Lee Eisenberg. Talking about the number. Well, that's the very important question to be able to answer. The second one is The E-Myth Revisited, Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It, from Michael Gerber. That is like one of the top book that any entrepreneur needs to read. And last and certainly not least, The Psychology of Money. It said here, over 2 million copies sold. Can you imagine that? The Psychology of Money from Morgan Housel. Timeless lessons on wealth, greed, and happiness. I strongly recommend this book. So that is an overview that I wanted to give you in case you want to sell your business, or at least structure your business in a way that you are not necessary on a daily basis. Get it ready for sale, or get it ready to be sold, even if you don't plan to. And that's how you will structure your business. If you want to connect with me, if you have any questions, please follow me on LinkedIn and join the Facebook group, which is www.eventbusinessformula.com/group. I hope it was helpful, and I look forward to meeting you in the future and to continuing to produce content for everyone in this podcast, The Business of Meetings. Thank you. Bye-bye. So I hope this was helpful for you. Once again, please connect with me. Follow me on LinkedIn. Connect with me there, or join the Facebook group, eventbusinessformula.com/group. And if there's any question that you have, any thought, or if you find values with that, reach out to me and share this episode with your network. Thank you. Bye-bye.